Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Nicole K. So I am going to kind of review my birthing experience with you guys today. So I am currently 2 weeks postpartum, and yeah, so I have a quick little story for you guys. So went into the hospital on October 2nd to be induced with our beautiful baby boy. And yeah, so the induction process. We ate breakfast. So Todd and I woke up at 6 o'clock in the morning. We went out and we had breakfast. And we then went to the hospital and got there around 8:15-ish. And by 10:05, I think it was, like, we were all set up in our room and they were prepping me for my induction. So they put this little bitty, like, teeny tiny pill inside your cervix. You have to lay down for 30 minutes and then remain seated and not move, not do anything for another 2 hours after that. So the pill has time to sit there, to soften the cervix, and to start the dilation process. They give you a drug. I don't remember the name of it. It starts with a P. I feel like I should know it, but there was so much stuff that happened in the 28-hour time frame that I honestly can't remember everything, the name of everything. So Pitocin, I think, maybe. Anyways, so my experience was starting the induction process, doing the 2.5 hours for the pill to set to start to soften my cervix. And then after that, I had to pee halfway through. So they had to put, like a bedpan up underneath me, which is like one of the weirdest things to ever do. So if you've never peed in a bedpan, not that I can ever remember in my life, and I'm 34, so it was kind of slightly awkward, to say the least, but when you gotta pee, you gotta pee. So obviously when you're pregnant and you're full of pressure, you have to go. So that was getting to know my nurse real quick. And then, let's see, after the 2.5 hours, I went pee in the bedpan. I think finally, maybe 30 minutes, an hour later, I got up and went to the bathroom myself. And then they started the Pitocin, I think is what it's called, the actual drip that helps you go into labor. So once they started that, they started it as a 1, and then I guess you can go up from there, like a 2, a 3 as the amount of the dosage. So then my contractions started, and let me tell you, painful. Just nothing that I ever thought would ever happen. And I had Braxton Hicks contractions a couple times before actually doing this, and in the hospital they were just awful. And so that went on for, I'm not even sure how long. And so the doctors would come in, check me every few hours to see how my dilation was. I went from a 0 to, I think, a 1. And then I told Todd, after I don't know how many hours of contractions and pain that I was having, I told him, I was like, I'm getting an epidural. Like, we went in thinking natural labor, no epidural. I told him, I said, I'm getting an epidural. He and I were in agreement that if the next time the doctor came in and I was less than 4 centimeters, that sure, we'll get an epidural. Just the pain was just that intense, and I just couldn't take it anymore, especially after I don't know how many hours. Honestly, I don't know how many hours it was. Between then and the epidural, they put me on a bouncy ball, like one of the balls that you would do for like ab exercises. I'll put a picture in here to let you guys see. I might have an actual video just to stitch into this, to let you guys see like the process of that. We did peanuts. We did me on my hands and knees trying to like stretch to see if like maybe any of that would help. And yeah, needless to say, none of that worked. At one point I went to the bathroom and peed on my own. This was before the epidural, because they put in a catheter for you when you have the epidural. And I peed, wiped, and there was some blood. So I went out and I told the nurse, I'm like, hey, there's some blood. And she's like, oh, yay. So literally in the maternity ward, bleeding and pain is definitely like a good job. This is what we want for you. That's the only place in the hospital that they're like, yes, that's what we want. Before I even hopped into bed, like I just had this gush of blood and like literally covered the floor. And I was like, oh, so yeah, more blood. And the nurse is like, oh, it's fine. That's what we want. Okay. Todd's like in and out of like sleepiness in the background. And they cleaned up my mess, wiped down my legs, and then I got into bed and the doctor came in. They said that my cervix was dilated 1.5. So I asked for the epidural, and they tell you 45 minutes to an hour for somebody to come in, the anesthesiologist to come in to administer the epidural. Mid having a contraction, they are sticking, however it looks, I didn't get to see it obviously, they were behind me to put it into my spinal tap for the epidural. Mid contraction, I'm told not to move to have this epidural put in. So thankfully my nurses were amazing and helpful. So I'm trying to breathe while hunching my spine, like hunching my spine, so that way he could stick that in there and get the juices flowing. Mid contractions. And you can see like how your contractions are going on the screen. And it was a big one. And I'm trying to like breathe through it, not move so I don't get paralyzed or God even knows what happens like for an epidural. And then feeling the stinging sensation of the injection of the fluid for the epidural. So I start feeling numb and tingly from like belly button down maybe. Starts to help a little bit with the contractions, but it's not instantaneous. It's not 100% like you feel nothing. So I still felt my contractions, still felt the pain. I had a doctor come in, tell me I was dilated at 3. I'm like, yay, at least I'm dilating. Then another doctor came in and they're like, oh, it's between a 5 and a 6 dilation. I'm like super pumped because then sweet, 10 is where you need to be. Baby's gonna come out. Super excited. My actual doctor comes in and he's like, you're a 3. After the other doctor had told me a 5, 6. And then tells me my cervix is swollen. And my labia is swollen, which you have 100 people just shoving fingers into you throughout the day. Of course everything's gonna be swollen. And then with the epidural, I even felt swollen down there. So apparently I'm going backwards, or nobody knows centimeter sizes. And anyways, so it's like a guessing game on if it's even working. And I don't even know what time it was at night that this even happened, because it was a really long day and I'm starving, but you're not allowed to eat in case you have to have a C-section. So here's my man eating food and me not eating anything. So yeah, I don't remember what time it was. One of the doctors came in, wiped me down like to prep me for a C-section just in case, because at this point I still wasn't C-section ready. And then my doctor comes in and checks and I'm still not like dilated big or anything. I think I was still a 3. And I don't remember if this was like 4 or 5 in the morning the next day into October 3rd. But they're like, we're scheduling you a C-section at 7:15 a.m. My anxiety went through the roof. My blood pressure went up. My blood pressure was already getting high because of everything going on. And I start to cry, and I'm going to cry now, because I wanted a natural birth. That's what I wanted. Definitely was far from wanting a C-section. So, trying to be strong, they prep me for the C-section. They take me back, put me on this bed strapped out like Jesus. Arms out, strapped down. My arms are strapped down to these little pads that are attached to this table that's literally like this wide. Like, I was a little bit wider than the table. And that's the same table that they do C-sections on for everyone. So regardless if you're 98 pounds, 227, which I think is my highest weight that I got for pregnancy, or if you're 400 pounds, you're on the same C-section table. And I was like, everybody's on the same table. So yeah, so that was an experience. I'm laying there. They don't have a sheet in front of me at this time. They're putting on the solution to sterilize me, to perform the cut. And I'm staring at the ceiling, and I can see the reflection of them putting it on. So I'm like, oh, I can watch my entire C-section. So like my anxiety goes up a little bit. I'm like, I don't think I want to watch that. Like, just because you can see the reflection, like it was a good enough reflection that you could actually see what was happening. Then they put this big sheet in front of me. Thank God. At this point, I still feel like things, like you're not fully numb officially. You can feel tugging and you can feel pressure during your C-section. So I'm laying there. They bring my boyfriend back. They make him sit down. He's not allowed to watch. I don't know if that's just a normal thing. Maybe they just don't want to catch him because he's a big dude and maybe he'll pass out. But they make him sit. So he's sitting beside me. Can't see anything. Like, he has no way to see anything at all. And he wanted to watch. And so he pretty much is just there with me. I'm making jokes throughout the whole kind of thing because that's how I deal with stressful situations. And I feel the pressure. I feel the pain. I hear his head is stuck in my cervix and that I'll feel some pressure. And the last thing I heard was 14. And then I think I was breathing. I don't know. And then next thing I know, they bring him over. I have a mask on because I'm assuming they're either putting me under the rest of the way because I blacked out after we took a picture. And that's all I remember before waking up in the recovery room. So the pain and pressure was so much, I don't know if I blacked out or if they actually put me under. I wake up in the recovery room. Todd's sitting there. The baby's in his little crib off to the side beside Todd. And the nurse, the only thing I hear is, he's hungry. Are you breastfeeding? I said, not right now, because eyes are kind of like in and out, open, close, open, close, open, close. Literally, I'm coming out of it. Like, I can't breastfeed right now. Like, I want 100% breastfeed, but I couldn't. So Todd ends up feeding him a bottle, which is fine. I'm trying to like come out of it. Then the next thing I know, we're in our actual room. So they got me pumped full of magnesium at this point because apparently my blood pressure was so high that I could have seizures. I had preeclampsia. They were pumping me with antibiotics. I was so swollen. It was not even funny. I'll attach pictures. Like, my face is like huge, just fully swollen. It was disgusting. And when you're on magnesium, you're in there for 24 hours, pumped full of magnesium because they don't want you to have seizures, pumped full of antibiotics. Now I'm taking a blood pressure medicine because my blood pressure's high because of everything that's going on. Finally, that first night was unbearable. Blood pressure pump on me, going off every hour. The compressors on each leg going off, taking turns so I don't get a blood clot. Doctors coming in every hour, checking my reflexes in my arms and my legs. Boyfriend's sleeping through the whole thing, but saying he's exhausted. I can't touch the baby because I'm bed rest. Can't move for 24 hours. The best part was being catheter. You don't even know that you're peeing. The best part by far. So I didn't even get to like touch my baby until I don't even know what time. Unless somebody picked him up and handed him to me. Yeah. I'm trying to think of what else happened. Somebody came in to take blood. They wanted to check my blood work. They took 4 vials. After almost an hour of trying to figure out what vein they wanted to take it from, I still have a bruise after, I'd show you, after 2 weeks. Still have a bruise in my arm. It's kind of lighter now, but it was like my vein was hard and everything. Because I was so swollen, you couldn't find it. So, almost a full hour for 2 nurses to figure out what vein they wanted to take my blood from. And then at that point I said, if you have an extra vial, take an extra vial. I said, I don't want somebody else coming up here to try and poke me again. So they took that extra vial. And then all my blood work came back good. They then put me on an iron pill though because I had lost so much blood. And at this point is when the nurse actually told me I was at risk of seizures and blood clots, because apparently she was telling me when I was in and out of it in recovery. And so that freaked me out. And yeah, so much fun. So finally, when they took me off the magnesium, the 24-hour period, then I was able to eat. So a full 48 hours without food. Then I was allowed a liquid diet. And because they wanted to check my pee and check everything else, make sure I'm okay. I don't think I showered until Monday night? Tuesday? I don't even remember. Monday, maybe? I don't know. It was like Friday morning I showered, and then I think it was Monday I finally got to shower, and it was the worst water pressure in there. Disposable underwear and pads were my friend. They were the best thing. I literally used my last one yesterday. So almost a full 2 weeks of throwaway underwear. It's been amazing. The ones from the hospital were alright, but I did go buy some from Frida Mom or something like that. I'll put a picture of what I purchased at the end. Beyond amazing. You don't have to worry about bleeding through your own underwear, anything like that. Highly suggest disposable underwear, whether you're having natural birth or C-section. My cut, I will link a picture at the end of this video. My cut looks amazing. Just had the stitches off this morning. Phenomenal. My doctor did a phenomenal job. And I've seen people's C-section cuts and just beyond amazing. Yeah, so that's the story of my C-section. So my doctor said I will not have a natural birth ever again. 12 to 18 months to heal before trying to get pregnant again. Kind of want to try again in 6 months, but I don't know if that's possible or not, so we're going to do some research on that. And yeah, so because my cervix closed, I just basically am not a candidate for natural birth, which is fine. I heard screaming from each room beside us for deliveries, but they were in and out. People didn't stay. If you had a natural birth, you weren't in there for the whole time. I didn't leave until Tuesday night at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So from Friday morning to Tuesday night, I was in the hospital. Yeah, I think that's about it. I won't even get into the story of what was wrong with my little man or anything like that. Just added, extra stuff to my blood pressure and my anxiety. So that's the story of my birth for my child. And I have a beautiful baby boy. So it was definitely all worth it. Yes, I want to have another one. But it was very hard and very stressful. So hopefully this gives you some kind of insight into it. I had a really amazing doctor who cared about me. And definitely he said the next time I have a baby, they will just knock me out 100%. So I don't feel anything. And it wasn't like I was in pain, like where I felt like them cutting me or anything like that. It was just the pressure and the not being able to see and not knowing what's going on got to me. So I don't mean to scare anybody with this video, but that's the story of how we have our little man today. So I thank you all for watching. I apologize for my crying. It's just very emotional for me, even today after almost 2 weeks. But it's definitely all worth it. Definitely worth seeing my little baby's face and having a healthy little baby boy. Definitely worth it. So thank you for watching. If you're not yet subscribed, please subscribe. Comment below if you've had any kind of similar experience, and make sure you like the video. And if anybody's interested in anything else, please let me know below. But I do plan on posting some more videos while I'm on maternity leave. I am off work for 6 weeks, not able to drive for 2 of them, which I got the okay today to drive. No sex, no working out, no heavy lifting for 6 weeks, and then I can go back to work at 8 weeks. So right now I'm on unpaid maternity leave, which is just another added stressor. I'm still on blood pressure medication. I still have the possibility of having seizures until up to 6 weeks after. So we still have to keep an eye on both of those things. And they said maybe in 2 more weeks, 4 weeks total, I might be able to be off my blood pressure medicine because it's just something I don't want to be on. I'm officially 26 pounds down. Hold on. 25 pounds. I've lost 25 pounds since giving birth. So almost 2 weeks, 25 pounds down. I think I have 34 to go to my pre-baby weight and 46 to the weight that I wanted to be at by the end of this year. So just healthy eating and a little bit of moving around, nothing too strenuous until the doctor says I'm allowed to. So follow my journey. I'm going to post more videos about that in the future as well. So thank you again.
What?
I said I look huge. Let's see the goodies. I'm having a contraction right now. So I'm supposed to circle. I'm going to start classes. And then I'm going to have a bruise. It's nasty. You see that? Blech. This is my selection. Just that. Take